Hello, everybody, and welcome to the February 3rd edition, 2025 edition of Monday Night Raw here on the channel. This is the TEW IX WWE Save, and yeah, this is the Raw after the Royal Rumble, and we saw John Cena win the Royal Rumble, as seen right here. If you didn't watch that episode, go back and watch it. It was great. We had some really shocking finishes. Definitely watch it before the Smackdown, as we had some real big ramifications in that episode for SmackDown. But let's get started here. We start off with John Cena opening the show tonight, and he talks about how great it feels to be back on top after everything he's been through. How great it feels to be back in the WWE, and he wants to thank his fan club, R-Truth, and Dr. Wagner for their support at the Royal Rumble, and they come out. Truth's telling Cena, he stopped Dr. Wagner from jumping the barricade again, just like he did at Saturday Night's main event. And, Dr. Wagner nods and says, it was a good thing that I distracted you the first time because it built character. Cena laughs and gets back on subject. He says, I got two choices for my WrestleMania match: Gunther or Kevin Owens. And he talks about how Kevin Owens shocked the world at the Rumble by defeating Cody Rhodes and actually finally becoming the real WWE champion, not a fake champion, a real champion. As for Gunther, and he can't finish that sentence because Imperium, their music hits, they come out, they interrupt. Gunther tells Cena that the choice should be obvious, and Cena is proving how much of a coward he is by hesitating. I've already proved I am the better man. If you want a chance at a feel-good story before you retire for good, go face someone you'll actually have a chance against. You John Cena, look at you. You are a parody of what you once were. And these fools that follow you around, they're following a washed-up hero who just is hoping to feel important. Cena, he gets more serious. He tells Gunther he's not making his decision tonight because he wants to talk to Kevin Owens face-to-face first on SmackDown this Friday. But if Gunther wants to keep running his mouth, that might make his decision easier. Not Dr. Wagner, Truth, he pops in. He's like, yeah, we're going to SmackDown. And Dr. Wagner's, he stops him. He's like, no, dude, no, we aren't. And yeah, that opens the show. It gets an 80. And yeah, Dr. Wagner looked lost. Language barrier, yeah, that makes sense. Right now, his English is set to basic, but I don't know. It's going to have a little bit of an effect. But yeah, we're raising the pop of him. Hopefully Oscar and Alexander Wolf, hopefully a little bit by having him in this segment. And yeah, we're starting qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber tonight. We got one women's match and one men's match, and we're starting with the women's match. That's going to be the first match of this show. It's going to be between Alexa Bliss, Kairi Sane, and Lyra Valkyria. And I set this as an open match with all three of the women getting equal amounts of offense in. And near the end of the match, Lyra Valkyria hits her finisher on Kairi Sane, but Kairi rolls out of the ring to escape getting pinned and also to recover. Lyra turns around into a clothesline from Alexa Bliss, which is followed by Alexa climbing the ropes and hitting a twisted Bliss, and Bliss covers for 1, 2, 3. And Alexa Bliss is your first woman that qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. I did have to cut there as saying her name activated a certain device with her first name. So, yeah, sorry about that cut there. Hopefully I'll fix it in editing. But anyways, this match gets to 64. Yeah, Bliss qualifies for the Women's Elimination Chamber. Lyra and Kairi Sane are unable to. And, yeah, 56 for the wrestling, 50 for the crowd, 55 for Bliss, 52 for Lyra, 63 for Kairi Sane, who is still in poor form, but, yeah. Crowd's hot. They love it. And after, we go to commercial after this, and we see Judgment Day celebrating in the ring after that commercial, celebrating Liv Morgan's clean victory over Rhea Ripley. Liv's gloating. She says, she didn't need any help or any tricks. She's just better than Rhea Ripley. And all of her little fans can cry about it. Rhea Ripley is the past. I'm the present and the future. And that match at the Royal Rumble is proof that no one is on my level. And then Rhea Ripley's music hits as she comes out with Damian Priest. And Rhea says, Liv, you beat me. I'm not going to make any excuses. But you better believe I'm not going away. And she admits that she was so distracted worrying about ways that Liv could cheat, and that made her underestimate Liv's actual ability. But this loss just lit a fire under her, and she's going to get herself in a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber, and she's going to win the Elimination Chamber, and Mommy is getting that title back at WrestleMania. And Liv just smiles and tells Rhea to get in the back of the line. Obviously, everyone's sick of Rhea being in the title picture constantly in real life. I kind of am too. But I'm doing it. You'll see what happens at the Elimination Chamber. We'll see if she gets her WrestleMania rematch. But yeah, I do have this planned out through WrestleMania, and I think it'll be fun. I don't think you'll be sick of Rhea Ripley like people are in real life. But yeah, Damian Priest speaks up after this, and he says, well, Rhea has to qualify to get her shot at Liv. I don't have to qualify to get a shot at you, Finn Balor. We had a match not too long ago, but these people, they want a definitive ending. You betrayed us at SummerSlam, and there will be justice once I defeat you definitively tonight. And Finn responds, you want justice, Damian? Fine. Nobody at ringside, just you and me tonight, and the people will see who really deserve to be the World Heavyweight Champion from the Judgment Day. That's a terrible. I can't do his accent. I'm a big Finn Balor guy. But yeah, 69 for that segment. Very nice, very nice. Angle got the crowd hotter. They're white hot. And yeah, Damian versus Finn Balor later tonight. That match. As we go backstage to The Miz, obviously Karrion Kross freed him last week, and Miz meets up with the Final Testament. Karrion Kross tells Miz, don't thank me, because I didn't do it for you, and now you owe me even more than you already did. He tells Miz that he needs to deal with the Wyatts, and then he'll start out this crusade by facing his fear and facing Eric Rowan next. Miz is pleading with Karrion, but Akam and Razar, the authors of pain, they step up in between them. And Karrion says that he already made the match official with Pierce. So that match is next. The Miz versus Eric Rowan. And this segment gets a 58. The crowd is still very hot. And yeah, Rowan versus Miz. And we see at ringside Uncle Howdy, Mercy the Buzzard, and Huskus the Pig. They're all there at ringside. But Final Testament stays backstage. They're leaving Miz on their own there. And Miz tries to run away mid-match. He's begging Eric Rowan to stop. It wasn't me. Blame Cross for what happened to Truth. Rowan doesn't buy it. Miz rakes the eyes, gets a near fall after hitting skull crushing finale. And, Rowan kicks out at 2.5. The Miz is shocked. He panics. He's looking at the ramp, looking for Final Testament to come out and help him, but no one's coming out. He turns around. He sees Dexter Lumis, Mercy the Buzzard, on the apron, just staring at him. Miz is absolutely terrified, and this split second allows Eric Rowan to hit a big boot and then an Iron Claw slam for 1, 2, 3. Eric Rowan pins the Miz, and it doesn't seem to click. 56 for the Miz, 40 for Eric Rowan. This match gets a 49, it's all right. 53 for the crowd, 48 for the wrestling. Yeah, Eric Rowan pins the Miz clean. Miz rolls out of the ring. He bumps right into Uncle Howdy, who doesn't say anything. He's just staring at Miz. Miz backs up slowly and then books it up the ramp. He's getting out of there, up to safety. Let's see the dirt sheet. Physical condition, that makes sense. And then yeah, I did have to keep the Miz strong here. So I didn't have to. He actually was willing to put Eric Rowan over, but I wanted to keep him strong because his pop, I don't want that pop to suffer. Eric Rowan is like mid-40s and the Miz is like in the low 60s. So I'd like the Miz to stay around 60s and Eric Rowan to gain some pop by beating the Miz. And Rowan really deserves it after everything he's been through in real life, you know. But after this match, we go backstage. We find Sheamus in catering. Pete Dunne walks up to him. He's like, you know, all that food clearly isn't helping you win any matches. You know, and Sheamus tells Pete that, you know, they already settled their previous issue in the ring before, but if Pete wants more problems, they can handle it in the ring again next week. So next week, Sheamus versus Pete Dunne. Just setting up that match for next week. The crowd is going to buy tickets for that next week, hopefully. And yeah, we are in front of 8,600 people here in Bojangles Coliseum. I haven't run an event in this area of the U.S. yet in TEW, so I figured why not. This segment gets a 61. Back to the actual show. And yeah, we go back to the ring for a match between the New Day versus Robert Roode, teaming up with the returned Big E. Obviously, he returned in the Royal Rumble. He didn't last too long, but big pop. Everyone goes crazy. He's finally cleared. You know, he has his sights set on revenge with the New Day. And, you know, New Day has Robert Roode isolated for most of the match. You know, they're letting the anticipation build for the Big E hot tag. After a while, you know, Robert Roode gets that hot tag, and Big E just goes crazy. You know, he hitting every single type of move you can think of that he has in his arsenal. He's going crazy. He hits his finisher on Kofi Kingston, but Xavier Woods is able to drag Kofi out of the ring to break up the pin. Now Big E, he sees Xavier at ringside. He wants to get at Xavier too, not just Kofi. So he tags in Roode and starts chasing Xavier Woods around ringside. Robert Roode hits a big move on Kofi Kingston, but you know Xavier, he's able to get away from Big E. He distracts the ref. And while the ref is distracted, Kofi Kingston low blows Robert Roode. And Kofi goes for the cover. The ref turns around. 1, 2, 3. The New Day defeat Robert Roode and Big E in 13 minutes. Yeah, this says using a foreign object. My idea was a low blow. Maybe they used a foreign object while the ref's back was turned, I guess. This was my storytelling match. Gets a 67. Oh, amazing. Very, very, very happy with this. Mid-50s for the New Day, 47 for Robert Roode, and a 68 for Big E. I love that. Now I did not keep Big E strong in this match. Hopefully he doesn't lose a lot of pop. I think he's got the most out of everyone here. 67. I'm very, very happy with that. Yeah, Kofi and Xavier, they run up the ramp. Xavier Woods yells at Big E. You know, it looks like that injury's still affecting you. And yeah, New Day. Big victory. Big E's going to have to work harder to get back at them, it looks like. And yeah, we go to the women's bathroom where Scarlett is fixing her makeup in front of the mirror, you know, muttering about how ungrateful the Miz is. The lights flicker a bit. Scarlett hears a faint giggle behind her, and she turns around, but she doesn't see anything. And she goes back to adjusting her makeup. But now, in the mirror, far in the corner, in the dim light, we see Abby the Witch just staring at Scarlett. Now, Scarlett sees this. She jumps a little bit. She turns around, but nobody's there. And she looks back in the mirror to see in the reflection Abby the Witch standing right behind her. She quickly turns around again, but no one's there. You know, the lights, they turn off for a second and then back on. And after they come back on, there's a message on the mirror written in lipstick. And, you know, evil wears many faces. And Scarlett's had enough. She runs out of the room after this. And yeah, Nikki Cross, Abby the Witch, haunting Scarlett. So clearly, the Wyatt Six are not done with the Final Testament. 63 for that segment. People liked it. The crowd's still very hot. I'm very happy that a Nikki Cross and Scarlett segment is getting a 63. Very, very happy with that. And after that, we stay backstage. We go to Alpha Academy, who are approached by Penta. Obviously, remember last week Penta was jumped by American Made, and he had some issues with Gable in the Rumble. Penta tells Alpha Academy that he's agreeing to train them, but if he's going to teach them, they must learn to have cero miedo. And he says that next week, him, Otis, and Tozawa will have a match against the men of American Made, and then they will put American Made in the rearview mirror. And, you know, he tells Maxine that she might still care about Ivy, but she needs to stand up to her. She needs to go out and face her in the ring. And so he's already set up that match, and that's next. 64 for this segment. Akira Tozawa does something funny. I made him comic relief, I guess. He's very excited about Penta joining, and he makes some funny movement. I don't know. I'm trying to get good segment ratings here. 64 for that. I'm very happy. And yeah, Penta, the new mentor leader of Alpha Academy, teaching them to have zero fear. And yeah, Maxine goes out to the ring, her entrance for her match against Ivy Nile, but she's attacked on the ramp by Ivy Nile. And they brawl around ringside as Maxine yanks at Ivy's hair. Ivy's throwing a chair at Maxine, sending her through the barricade. Once they get in the ring, Ivy Nile takes control quickly. She's shown her experience. But Maxine, she does not go down easy. She refuses to stay down. Ivy Nile goes for a submission attempt, but Maxine's able to wriggle free somehow. And Chad Gable distracts the ref. He gets the ref's attention. And while he's doing that, Julius Creed throws a chair in the ring. Maxine sees this before Ivy and quickly hits a DDT onto the chair and slides the chair out before the ref turns his and sees this, sees the chair in the ring. Maxine covers for 1, 2, 3. Maxine Dupree defeats Ivy Nile in a terrible match, a 26. My goodness. They do not click. Maxine wins the feud against Ivy Nile. They will never be feuding again. 31 for Ivy, a 23 for Maxine. 27 for the wrestling, 38 for the crowd. All right. Yeah, Maxine gets the upset. Let's see the dirt sheet here. Ivy Nile's trying to go all out. Poor basics for Maxine Dupree. That makes sense. It's also too long. All right. Yeah, we will never run this match again. 26. Not happy with that at all. The crowd is still hot, thankfully. But yeah, we really need to build Maxine Dupree up if she's going to get good match ratings, because her wrestling ability is not helping her at all. After that match, we go backstage and find the LWO talking. And Ray's worried that Logan Paul has brought his brother Jake and his business partner KSI into the WWE. Now they have to worry about them. Kiana James, she's eavesdropping around a corner. She finally steps in. She tells Ray, she's been looking for a good match for the Paul brothers to debut as a team, and she wants that to happen tonight. She thinks that Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee would be the perfect opponent for them. So, whether they like it or not, they're facing the Paul brothers later tonight. And yeah, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus Logan Paul and Jake Paul. And I swear to God, if Logan and Jake have bad chemistry, I'm going to be so disappointed. 54 for that segment. Rey Mysterio looked good. Happy enough. Kathy Kelly is interviewing Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Katana Chance says she's almost cleared to go. Not next week, but hopefully in 2 weeks she'll be back and able to wrestle again. And once the doc says she's good to go, they're gunning for PFC's tag titles. And then this interview is interrupted after Unholy Union walk up, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Alba says, it's funny how you two talk about gold when you haven't won a single match in months. And Kaden steps up to her and tells her, you want to pick a fight with us? Next week, I'll take you on one-on-one, and we'll see who's more prepared to chase the gold. And yeah, next week, Kaden Carter versus Alba Fire. Not the most exciting match, but I think it's just testing the waters, seeing what happens. Alba Fire's got some good wrestling ability. Kaden Carter, it could be interesting. 48 for that segment, which is actually kind of surprisingly decent. Yeah. And after that, next up is the match between Damian Priest and Finn Balor, the big blow-off match, the one people have been waiting for. This match it's a banger. I've told both of them to steal the show. It's pretty open. Both men get similar amounts of offense, and after a while, Priest is able to hit South of Heaven for 1 to kick out at 2.9. The crowd's going wild. Damian Priest can't believe he kicked out. He starts to set up for Razor's Edge. He lifts Finn Balor up, but Balor counters midair into a sunset flip powerbomb. He rushes to the top rope. He's going for coup de grace, but Damian Priest is able to dodge that. Finn Balor rolls through. Damian Priest spins around, and Finn Balor is able to hit a Pele kick, which wobbles Damian Priest. And Finn hits a 1916 DDT. He goes up again. He hits a huge coup de grace this time, clean. He goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Finn Balor pins Damian Priest clean. I said with something else, but yeah. In 14.5 minutes, they go out, they steal the show. A 67 for Finn Balor, a 65 for Damian Priest, who's off his game, but this match gets a 76. The crowd is buzzing. A 76. Awesome. Just stamina, physical condition, and consistency. I can't hate on this at all. A 76. This maybe should have been the main event, but I think the main event is going to get a similar rating, if not better. I'm very excited for that. And yeah, this feud is over. Finn Balor wins just like he should have in real life. Justice for Finn Balor. And after that, we go backstage. Adam Pearce, he's looking for the War Raiders, and he finds them backstage. He tells them, there aren't a lot of top contenders in the tag division here on Raw. So it's looking like after their victory today, the New Day are top contenders right now. The War Raiders are just relieved that it isn't Finn Balor and JD McDonough again. And yeah, Adam Pearce walks away and almost bumps into Braun Breaker. Braun's like, all right, they got what's next for their titles. What about what's next for me and my IC title? And Pearce starts to respond, but Braun cuts him off. It doesn't matter. Last week, Damage Control thought they wanted to be brave and steal my moment. Well, I'd like one of them to step into the ring with me next week. And he walks off, leaving Adam Pearce shocked at Braun Breaker's statement. Obviously, he interrupted Damage Control's moment as they were declaring for the Rumble and made it about him. But, he wants to claim that they stole his shine. 58 for this segment. I'm happy enough. I just had to get all 4 of these guys on the show. I could have gotten Pearce in another segment, but I figured this worked. And yeah. Braun Breaker will face a Damage Control member potentially next week. We'll see. And looks like the New Day are top contenders for the tag titles. That match will not be next week, but we'll see where that goes. I have something big planned for that match. Also backstage is Pure Fusion Collective, and they are discussing a way to get Sonya out of defending her women's IC title match against the new #1 contender, Natalya. They set off to find Natalya and attack her. And they do find her. They start their beat down, but Damage Control are nearby and they're ready to save the day. They make the save. And yeah, Damage Control defended Natalya from Pure Fusion Collective. This gets a 62. Actually, pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Storyline gains heat. I'm sure Damage Control very helped this storyline out a lot. And yeah, unable to injure Natalya long term. So it looks like she's still the top contender. And next up is a tag match between the Paul brothers and Rey Mysterio, who's teaming with Dragon Lee, obviously. It's a high-speed match. Logan's showing off. Jake Paul is playing chicken, and Dragon Lee is going all out with Rey Mysterio keeping him focused. Dragon Lee, he's building momentum. He's getting some super kicks off and some running knees. He nails Logan with a slingshot DDT and tags in Rey Mysterio, who hits a 619 to Logan. He tags Dragon Lee back in, who sets up for a top rope finisher. Suddenly, KSI's music hits, and he appears on the ramp holding a prime bottle. He's mocking Dragon Lee. He's yelling at Dragon Lee. And Dragon Lee sees this. He hesitates mid-climb. He's distracted. He's yelling back at KSI. And Logan Paul recovers. He leaps up, springboards to the top rope, and hits a Spanish fly off the top rope. He immediately follows this with a massive frog splash. He covers for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Logan Paul pins Dragon Lee, and this match gets a 72. 67 for the wrestling, 64 for the crowd, 66 for Dragon Lee, 70 for Rey Mysterio, 63 for Jake Paul, 68 for Logan Paul. Let's see if Jake has bad basics. No. Jake is actually a good wrestler, it seems. I mean, his brother is actually quite good, Logan. I think he's actually really good. A lot of people hate him. Understandable. I'm kind of a fan of his heel work. I kind of like Logan Paul. Very humble. And yeah, 72 for this match. Wow. Some great matches for tonight's show. After that match, CM Punk comes out to the ring. He's talking about how close he was in the Royal Rumble. But John Cena, he's the GOAT. He was just too good. But he's not focused on his Rumble performance right now. He's feeling good. He's thinking about someone that means much more to him, than anything wrestling related. And he points to the stage and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my best friend, my wife, the Black Widow herself, AJ Lee." And AJ Lee comes out. She gets another huge pop, just like she did at the Rumble. She embraces Punk in the ring. She takes the microphone. She thanks the fans. She talks about how incredible it feels to be back in a WWE ring. She says she's not done quite yet, but she's going to take it one crazy step at a time. She talks about how she was inspired to come back, seeing how many wonderful and amazing women have debuted in the WWE since she left. She's like, the past was fun, but the future might be even crazier. Suddenly, Seth Rollins' music hits. He comes out. He first addresses AJ Lee. He's like, AJ, it's nice to see you again, but if you don't mind, me and your husband have some unfinished business. Then he turns to Punk. So I've been doing some thinking. I was carrying this company on my back for so long after you left, and I held that grudge against you deep inside and let it fester. I was worried that you were coming back to take all of my hard work and make it mean nothing. These people chant your name like you haven't already abandoned them. He finally gets in the ring and continues talking. But I was wrong to not give you a second chance. You forced me to respect you. You beat me fair and square in that triple threat with Gunther, and then again at the Rumble. Clearly this place still means something to you, and I shouldn't be trying to tear down everything just because you're back. Punk is listening. He's like, serious, but it's fair what he's saying. He tells Seth, he appreciates the apology, even though trust takes time. They can start right now with respect. And he reaches his hand out for a handshake. Seth pauses. He's looking out at the crowd. He looks back at Punk, and he shakes his hand. And Seth walks out. He's walking up the ramp, but he stops, turns around to say one last thing. Punk, if we both qualify for the chamber and you win, I will not stand in your way. And the segment gets an 87. AJ Lee is back. CM Punk welcomes her back, and Seth Rollins apologizes to Punk. Their feud is over. Correct. They're both baby faces. I didn't want to turn Seth Rollins, and I don't have them at WrestleMania facing each other. Spoiler alert. Sorry. They both stay as faces. Seth Rollins giving CM Punk another chance. They have a truce for now. An 87 for the first part with CM Punk and AJ Lee. 79 for when Seth Rollins comes out. And the low heat. Well, the storyline's done. Oh, but it could have got a 90. Oh well. Last but not least, finally, you've been waiting for the men's qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. And Adam Pearce, I'm afraid, has cooked up a banger tonight because it's between three men that you have not seen on the show yet. The only three men that have not been on the show that are on the Raw roster for me here on TEW. Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre, and Jey Uso. Now remember, Sami Zayn is barred from interfering in anything bloodline related, so he faces being fired if he teams up with Jey to take Drew out of this match. And as the bell rings, Drew McIntyre rolls out of the ring. He's forcing Sami Zayn to wrestle his former Uso, and they're reluctant. They reluctantly go after each other for a little bit. Drew comes back in. After a while, all three are getting an equal amount of offense in. Sami hits a Blue Thunder Bomb on Jey for a near fall. Jey hits a super kick and an Uso splash on Drew. But Sami Zayn comes in to break it up. Obviously, he wants to qualify for the Elimination Chamber too. Kevin Owens is the champion over on SmackDown. What if we get Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens? That would be a main event match. And tensions are rising. Sammy and Jay hesitate to be the one that takes the other out of the equation, out of this match. And as they stall, Drew McIntyre nails Jey Uso with a Glasgow kiss, and Sammy hits Drew with an exploder into the corner. He sets up for a haluva kick. Now he charges, but Drew explodes out of the corner with a Claymore. He catches Sammy clean in the air, and he covers for 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre pins Sami Zayn after a Claymore, and he qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. 81 for Drew McIntyre, 73 for Sami Zayn, 66 for Jey Uso, and this match gets an 81. I love that. I knew this was the right main event. It could have been Priest versus Balor. Obviously, that was already the main event. And yeah, Drew McIntyre. This sets up his feud. He's still going to go after Jey Uso before the Elimination Chamber, but he qualifies for the Elimination Chamber, and maybe he'll face either Gunther or Kevin Owens. 73 for the wrestling, 72 for the crowd, and that's the show. This gets us an 80, which does not result in any popularity changes because we are still shocked. But I think this is our second best show besides Saturday night's main event. Very, very happy with this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode for NXT. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel so you see these videos pop up in your feed. A lot of you guys are not subscribed. If you subscribe, you'll be able to watch more of my TEW series. If you have any feedback, leave them in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.